young enough to say, I'm on the same boat as all of you, and I truly believe that if we all trust in the fact that we can all do great things, we have an awesome ride ahead of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. Natalie just said there, don't go to college just because someone tells you to. Well, we can get a response to that from our next speaker, the head of the counselling department and grade 11-12 counsellor, Mr. Keith Lehman.
Thanks for setting me up with that one, Michael. That's no problem. All right. Well, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to follow Tanner and Natalie. They set the bar pretty low for those speech there, but I'm going to give it a shot. So, good evening, everybody. First the prom, my first prom, and now this. You look around, this SCC has really been transformed this evening, and there's even more waiting for you when we're done tonight in the Commons Room. Mrs. Massong and her volunteers have done a wonderful job of making this a great event, haven't they? That's the point where I would say on behalf of the faculty, thank you, but you're ahead of me on that one. All right. I'm truly humbled to be giving this address. At each ISG graduation that I have attended, I would sit in the audience where you are now, wondering what it took to be selected as the commencement speaker, admiring that connection, that special connection that my colleague had formed with the students who chose them to represent their class. Now that my turn has come, I believe that I have finally figured out the secret. You guys can back me up on this. Whoever sends the most emails wins. Yeah? Pretty sure I've got that title here. Yeah. When Mrs. Masson told me that the students had selected me, I was so grateful. Mostly I was grateful to my colleagues in the audience tonight who declined to be nominated. I mean, in the end, it came down to a vote between two people, 50-50 odds, so hey, not bad odds there for me. But then it sunk in. Dude, now you've got to write a 10-minute speech that says something poignant and memorable. I wondered what I could possibly say that would motivate and inspire these amazing young people. Eventually, I concluded that the easiest thing to do would be to talk about what I know. But then I remembered that I had to fill 10 minutes, so I scrapped that idea. That speech would be way too short. Should I be offended that you're laughing right now? We'll let it slide. Then I thought that I should talk about what other people know. But I figured, you chose me, so you want to hear my words. So I went back to my original idea. And what I know, after that great setup, Michael, is how to apply to university. So here goes. The University of Life, how to apply. The first line of your application starts with your name, first name, last name, something that you've written down 100 times this year alone. But I want you to think about this, what your name means, and what you want your name to mean to others. What do you want the person reading your application to the University of Life to associate with these two words? Or in the case of Johannes Adrian Heinrich Blomeyer Bautenstein, 5 words. Did I get that right? I got all of them, I think. Let's not even talk about Louis and Lara here. 11 years in Germany, those are probably the 5 most difficult words I've had to say. Good luck with that one, Mr. Coffey, when it gets to be your turn. But as you go through life, your name will grow in significance, far beyond just what you call yourself. When applying to the University of Life, every section of your application leads back to your name. And in today's connected world of social media and apps and browser add-ons, your name is your brand. and you are in control of everyone and everything associated with that brand. And though your name may seem so very mundane to you, it is perhaps the most important thing about you, and what your name stands for is something that you need to cultivate and preserve above all else. Up next, your permanent address. For some of you, permanent is a term that you're not very familiar with. Your permanent changes every 2 or 3 years. For others, permanent is a term that you know all too well. You were born, raised, and you've spent your entire life in this city, perhaps even in this school. Whatever permanent means to you, your address has been the launching pad for all of your adventures. And that address, permanent or not, was the place you always came back to no matter where in the world you had been. For that reason, it was also the finishing point for each experience, a place where you could think about what just happened and where you could safely prepare to head back out into the world again. And no matter how many addresses you have had in your life, they have another thing in common. Someone who loves you was always waiting there to welcome you home. Which brings me to the next part of your application. It can be difficult to know what to say about family. There's a lot of emotion attached, some positive, some negative. And whether you're applying to the University of Life so that you can keep your family close to you, or whether you are putting as much distance between you and your family as you can, and trust me, kids say a lot of things in my office, but confidentiality still applies, so you're safe. But no matter where you are headed, remember, your family, these people in the audience tonight, they are among your biggest supporters. Your parents have loved you, encouraged you, challenged you, and yes, even embarrassed you, annoyed you, or just plain made you angry. Or maybe that was me, because parents also say some interesting things in my office, and that's also protected by confidentiality. You're all right there. Either way, your family is proud of you, proud of your accomplishments, and proud of the person you are becoming. Remember that, because you're not always going to make good choices in life. And for sure, your parents are going to call you out on those bad decisions. But that's because at the center of it all beats the heart of their child, and they would do anything to help you find happiness, satisfaction, and success in life. So when you are listing your family members on your application, remember how each one has helped you to get to this point, to where you have the opportunity to apply to the University of Life, to pursue your interests and your passions. If you haven't said it already tonight, I'll say it for you. Thank you, Mom and Dad. And thank you, brothers and sisters. And thank you to all the relatives who've come from around the world tonight to celebrate with the class of 2015. Education. So here it is, the reason why we are here this evening, and perhaps the most important part of your application to the University of Life. While the focus tonight tends to be on how you persevered over the last 2 years, there were another 10 or more years before that that equipped you with the tools to be successful at ISD. The University of Life considers the whole spectrum of your journey, from the very beginning to this moment in time, from the first words you learned to spell, to the endless papers that you had to write and cite and revise and resubmit, from the science experiment gone terribly wrong, to the DP Group 4 science experiment, the science experiment gone terribly wrong. From the languages you learned, sort of, to those theory of knowledge classes that made you question everything you know, or everything you think you know. Or maybe you questioned everything everyone else knows, but not what you know. Ugh, when somebody figures out who knows, tell me, I'd like to know. But when someone from the University of Life reads your application, they will be looking to see that you have the foundation to move on to the next level, and you do. Not just because of my amazing colleagues at ISD, but because of every other teacher who inspired you, pushed you, guided you, and yes, made you spit out your gum or put away your phone. Are you seriously texting right now underneath that robe? Put that phone away. You see that? 27 other parents just put their phones away too. Maybe, just maybe, there was also a special counselor or two along the way. Isn't that right, Dr. Rice? She's out there somewhere. Shameless plug for my department. Sorry, I had to do it. So, what was this education all for these last 12 or 13 years?